Dr.M.G.R. Educational and Research Institute, University, Madurai, Chennai.
A very good afternoon, one and all connected here. Let me start with the famous quotes. Ethic is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. First of all, I would like to extend my warm greetings to our dignitaries, faculty members, students, and the participants from various departments. I welcome you all for this webinar on ethics in research. I am Dr. R. Sajida, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics. I will be the host for this day. Now, I call upon Dr. M.L. Kumari, Head of the Department, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, ma'am. A good afternoon to one and all present here. First of all, I'll sincerely acknowledge with gratitude our President, sir, for giving opportunity to conduct this event. On behalf of Dr.M.G.R. Education and Research Institute, I welcome you all for the webinar, Ethics in Research, organized by Department of Physics. My special welcome goes to Joint Registrar, Phase II Campus, Dr. M. Prabhu, sir. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to our Dean, Academics, Phase II Campus, Dr. A.R. Arnachalam, sir, Dean, Admin, Phase II Campus, Dr. K. Senthil Kumar, sir, for the constant support provider. I also welcome the speaker of today's session, Dr. P. Arshini ma'am, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of English, Ethraj College for Women, Chennai. I also welcome all the participants and faculties for today's session. According to the codes of living, no research is without action and no action without the research. If the line of action is incorporated with ethics, we'll get a fruitful result. So get the tips of ethics to be followed in research by watching today's session. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, madam. Now I request Dr. Arnachalam, sir, Dean Academic, to deliver felicitation address.
Thank you, ma'am. So very good afternoon to one and all connected here. On behalf of Dr. M.G.R. Educational Research Institute, Adayalampattu Phase II Campus, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar on ethics and research, which has been organized by Department of Physics. First of all, we wholeheartedly thank our Honorable President, Engineer A.C. Arun Kumar, sir, for his constant support, encouragement, and motivation. And we are very much grateful to him for his kind approval today to conduct this wonderful session, which is going live now. Next, I would like to congratulate the Department of Physics for the constant effort towards organizing a lot of online events. Today, we have another session. So I think the topic which they have taken today is really a very important topic as far as the research is concerned. So I would like to congratulate the Head of the Department of Physics, Dr. M.V.L. Kumari ma'am, along with the other faculty members, Dr. Sajida ma'am, Dr. Suchitra ma'am, and all the other faculty members of Physics Department, and as well as Mr. Sasidharan, who's taking care of the technical support today. So I really congratulate the department for taking this wonderful effort towards organizing this session now. We are very much happy to have a very effective and efficient speaker today, Dr. P. Arshini ma'am, who's Assistant Professor at PG and Research Department of English, Ethos College for Women. So really, she is a very experienced personality. So we are very much happy to welcome her, and also we are very much delighted to. We are very happy to see her as a resource person for today's session. So definitely, this session is going to be a value-added session. As you all know, ethics is always very important in life. In each and every aspect, we have to have certain ethics. And as far as the research is concerned, again, we have to follow certain ethics. Something like you have to be socially responsible. And when you talk about ethics in research, it's all about the intellectual property rights, and then conflict of interest, and then data confidentiality, integrity, honesty. So there are plenty of things which we need to look at. I think so. Today's speaker is definitely going to touch so much of valuable points with regards to this particular session. So definitely, as far as if you are a research scholar, or maybe if you're a faculty wanted to publish some papers. As far as the research is concerned, I think you have to go with you have to follow certain ethics in research, and I think today's speaker is going to touch up various aspects of the ethics in research. So definitely, this session is going to be an enlightening session for everyone who wanted to do research. So definitely, on behalf of Dr.M.G.R Educational and Research Institute, I once again welcome the resource person for today's session, and also congratulate the department once again for taking this wonderful effort today. I wish this event a grand success, and I also welcome all the participants, especially who are watching this program live. So I also thank the department for inviting me to talk a few words. So have a great session and have a great day to all. Thank you all.
For your felicitation address. Now I request Dr. J.P. Sujitra, Assistant Professor at Department of Physics, to introduce our chief guest of today's seminar.
Good afternoon to everyone. I feel honored to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. P. Ashwini ma'am. She has completed her UG in English Literature from SDNG Vaishnava College, Cronpet. Following this, she did her professional degree course in Library and Information Science from Madras University. She has completed her doctorate in 2015 from Presidency College, Chennai. She has been an active person in the research field and has contributed a lot to the development of research, mainly through her language skills. She is currently working as an assistant professor at Ethos College. She has won many awards, including the Best Teacher Award by Manavar Ullam, Chennai, Campus Ambassador Award for her active role in institute welfare, and even Coordinator Award every successive year from 2016 to 2019. She has presented and published nearly 50 papers at the national and international level and edited and proofread more than 250 multidisciplinary theses, synopsis, and research papers for national and international academicians. She is also a reviewer for two international journals. One is based in Canada and another one is based in Pakistan. I welcome you, ma'am.
Resource person Dr. P. Harshini ma'am has a true and real inspiration for a young academician. We honor by your presence on this webinar, ma'am. I welcome guest of honor, speaker for the day, Dr. P. Harshini, to proceed with this presentation. Ma'am, I request you to over the section and enrich us with your knowledge. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sajita. A warm good afternoon to each and everyone connected here. I'm honored and very much pleased to be back here to the same platform where I upgraded myself in every aspect. This is a university that gave me so much, and it has also been the sole reason why I am here as resource person before you all today. Thank you, Dr.M.G.R University, the Honorable President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar, and all other eminent dignitaries for inviting me here. I am extremely grateful to Joint Registrar and Deans of Phase II Campus, especially Dr. A.R. Arunachalam, who gave his warm felicitation a few minutes ago. I thank the Department of Physics, especially Dr. Kumari, the head, Professor Dr. E. Kavita, Dr. Suchitra, and all my other dear friends for believing in my abilities and offering me a wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge on research ethics. My special word of appreciation to the technical host, Mr. Ganesh Babu, for his tremendous support and my dear participants for their valuable time to be a part of this webinar today. Now, coming to the topic on research ethics, I have so much to share with you all, and I think it would be worthy if it is through a PowerPoint presentation. Give me a minute to share my screen. Thank you. I hope the slide is visible. Is the slide visible? Okay. So ethics in research. So very, very important topic which we all need to know when we do research. Okay. So it's always my habit to start with a beautiful quote. And as Dr. Sajta also rightly said, shared a quote by Potter Stewart, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. You may be having a lot of things which you have the freedom to do, but taking what is right to do is called ethics. Okay, so this is a beautiful quote which I came across, and I'm happy that Dr. Sajita also shared in the first place. Now, understanding research ethics. See, ethics. When you hear the word ethics, ethics are the moral principles that govern a person's behavior. So, how we behave in the society, what kind of decisions we take, all contribute to ethics. Okay, but when it comes to research ethics may be referred to as doing what is morally and legally right in research. So, paying attention to ethics helps us to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, and what is acceptable and what is unacceptable behavior. Okay, so research, as you all know, it's a multi stage process, and ethics are central to the research process. Whichever process we cross up, we need to see that we follow ethics in every way. Okay, so researchers need to take care of various ethical issues at different levels of this process. As I already told you, it's a multi-stage process, and we need to follow ethics at every step of this research process. Okay, so this is how we need to understand research ethics. Now, why is it important? Why do everyone talk about ethics, and why is it important to follow ethics in research? See, ethics uphold the aims of research, such as knowledge, truth, and avoidance of error. Okay, research is actually a very, very important part, and we need to see that we share the right kind of knowledge, and we do it with honesty, and we avoid errors. Okay, so prevention of fabricating, falsifying, or misrepresenting research data, promote truth, and minimize error. So we need to prevent all these kinds of fabricating, falsifying, or misrepresenting research data. Okay, so that we could promote truth to the audience, and also we can minimize errors. Okay, so ethical standards promote the values that are essential to collaborative work, such as trust, accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. Okay, then ethics and research stimulate a variety of other important moral and social values. Okay, we need to be in line with moral and social values always, and research is also an important aspect where we need to follow ethics. Okay, such as social responsibility, human rights, animal welfare, compliance with the law, and public health and safety. All these aspects we need to keep in mind when we take up research. Okay, and all these contribute to following ethics. Okay, so this is why it is very important to follow ethics in research. Okay, I hope it's clear now. Now, What are the three objectives of research? The three objectives of research ethics. See, the first and comprehensive objective to guard, protect human participants, whomever we do take up as a part of our research process, we need to protect their dignity, rights, and welfare. Okay. The second objective is to make sure that research is directed in a manner that assists welfare of persons, groups, and or civilization as a whole. Okay, it is directed in a proper manner and not gone in a wrong way. That is the second most objective. And the third objective, to inspect particular research event and scenes for their ethical reliability. Before we take up any particular research, we need to check whether that particular topic or that particular research we are taking up has ethical reliability when considering issues such as the controlling risk, protection of privacy, and the progression of informed consent. So, all these things you need to remember well before you carry up a particular research. Okay, so these are the three main objectives of research ethics which we need to follow at any cost. So, what is ethical ethos? See, researchers have to take sole responsibility for the ethical conduct of their own research. I always used to tell my research scholars that whatever the line they add in their thesis is their responsibility. Okay, it goes well with all other researchers also. Whatever you add up in your thesis, whatever you add up in your research paper, it is your sole responsibility. Okay, in simpler terms, it can be said that ethics are researchers' responsibility. You have to follow ethics at any cost. Okay, there is no compromise into ethics. Then, first and foremost responsibility of a researcher is to take care of the safety, dignity, rights, and well-being of the participants. Whoever the participants are, which we include in our research, we have to see that we take care of their safety, dignity, rights, and their overall well-being. Okay, they should not face any problem because of us. Then researchers have to take care of various other issues at different stages of the research process. So they have to take not only regarding the participants, they also have to take care of various other issues whenever when they add methods or analysis or whatever it is. They need to see that they follow proper ethics. Okay, researchers have to take care of the participants' right and must consider their research from the participant's perspective. If you're adding up any participants to your research, you must consider it from their perspective and not from your own perspective. Okay, so these are some things which you need to definitely follow. So here particularly I want to bring out ethical concerns in India, how misunderstanding occurs. Okay, so that you'll all be very clear with what I'm trying to talk about. So research ethics differs from method to method. Okay, each and every method differs from one another. Most importantly, ethics can also vary from place to place. Definitely. For example, see, a Christian lady in white indicates a bride, while a Hindu lady in white indicates a widow. So you just have to see the vast difference. Okay. So in most of the cases, cultures in India vary from state to state and even from city to city. Every state has different kinds of culture and city. They follow different kind of tradition and culture. Okay. So when you move from one city to another, you will totally experience a different culture, different behavior, and so on. So researchers should have a depth knowledge of cultures and other things of the place they are working in. So you must be conscious of the cultures from where you are taking up your research. Okay, they must work within the framework suitable for all the customs, traditions, languages, caste, creed, colors, classes, regions, etc. So you need to have a proper framework where you need to take care of all these aspects also. Then, during the research, the researchers must keep in mind the wide economical knowledge and technological gap between the people of India. Some people would have good knowledge about everything, whereas some people would be so innocent about what we are trying to tell them. So all these things we need to be well aware of before we take up the research process. Okay, so this ethical concerns in India, which I wanted to particularly tell you also, that you'll be aware of the certain things. Especially would be useful for people who take up research in social sciences. Okay, then so researchers' responsibility, that is researchers' obligation, the researchers, maybe some points will be repeated, but still it is worthy because when I talk about certain things, when I tell you it is that you have to follow at any cost. Okay, the researchers have to take care of various obligations during the research process. They must ensure that their research is conducted with honesty, objectivity, and integrity. Okay, so they must seek consent from the participants for their participation and respect people, their cultures, values, religions, economic status, and so on. So researchers have a responsibility to take care of confidentiality and personal information. Maybe certain participants would have shared something out of confidence that you will keep their name anonymous, and you will take only the information with this. So you have to preserve that. Okay. Then or identity of the participants as per their choice, whichever way they wish, you have to see that you uphold that dignity, that kind of ethics. Okay, they should avoid experiments which may pose a threat to both the participants and the researchers themselves. So that kind of experiments which people think that will pose harm to them, that definitely researchers should avoid. Okay, then apart from participants, the researcher has also an obligation towards society, colleagues, or other researchers and funders of the project. Apart from the participants, they have their responsibility towards all others also, their friends, the society which they are living in, and all other researchers and the people who fund for their project. Okay, so all these are researchers' responsibility. Okay, then now coming to participants' responsibility, participants who take part in the research process, they have the exclusive right to give consent to participate, withdraw from, or refuse to take part in research project. It is solely with the participants whether they want to take part in the research process or withdraw from the research halfway, or maybe they don't want to take part in the research project at all. So all these are participants' rights. Okay, they have right to seek confidentiality and stop personal information or identifiable data from publishing or sharing. Okay, so they have the right to seek. Okay, so researchers have to be very, very careful when it comes to participants. They have right to seek their safety and security. So whenever required, the data should be kept secure and participants should not be exposed to unnecessary or disproportionate levels of risk. Okay, so these are participants' rights, and the participants have all rights to follow. Okay, whether they're taking part in the research or withdrawing from the research, it's all up to them. Okay, so this is one thing. Then, what are the factors contributing to unethical conduct in research? Why are there so many unethical things happening when it comes to research? Okay, so I have just listed a few factors which contribute to unethical conduct in research. The first one is competition, hazy competition. Increasing numbers of researchers and greater societal impact of research outcomes, typically in the form of publications and or patients, have escalated the competition. People want to publish more. They have competition among colleagues that they need to produce more publications. They need to produce more patents. Okay, so the increasingly stiff competition places unrealistic demand on winning the race. So all are bent on winning the race. Nobody is concerned about true research. The race is for personal gains, and we have to understand that winning the race is for personal gains, such as appointment for a position, promotion, getting an award, or any other kind of recognition. Okay, so such competition for personal end drives some individuals to find shortcuts. So when there is some kind of competition going on, then automatically it will lead to researchers going in an unethical way. They'll have to search for shortcut and resort to behavior and acts that are considered unethical. Okay, so this is the first factor that contributes to unethical conduct in research. What is the second factor? Claiming priority. The research output is owned by researchers, and such ownership is recognized and rewarded by society in one form or another. Hence, the desire to claim ownership is quite natural. Okay, so with multiple individuals, groups working on similar topics, especially those that are considered to be hot at the time. Okay, whichever topic is considered hot at the time, the researchers all rush towards the same topic, and because of that, competition is going to be very severe. Okay, which may prompt some to find, because they need to complete it before the deadline, they resort to unethical shortcut and stake the claim ahead of others. Maybe if government is funding something and they give a deadline, within that deadline they have to complete at any cost and they need to get the fund. Okay, so because of this kind of race, they need to claim priority, they just resort to unethical means. Okay, which is also not correct. Then ranking. See, the expanded system of ranking of research now covers a wide canvas extending from individual researchers to journals and institutions at national and international level. Okay, so this ranking is not only associated with prestige but also with funding that can be provided for research. Not only it for prestige, but also the funding that is provided for the research to take place. So with resources being limited, with very limited amount of resources, the race to win a higher ranking is becoming more and more intense and global, bringing in a wake a loss of academic and research integrity. So because we have very limited resources, and automatically it will lead to people falsifying or fabricating data, and because of that it brings a great loss to the academic and research integrity. Okay, so this is one, a third level. Then the fourth one is prestige associated with journal impact factor. So during the past 3 to 4 decades, the journal impact factor has gained prominence in assessing the quality of research output of individuals as well as institutions. Okay, this journal impact factor is gaining prominence. You all will agree with me. Okay, and this has resulted in a large number of journals, so that some journals in each discipline are considered to be better than others because their arithmetic impact value is really especially higher. Okay, so such practices lead to loss of integrity in conduct of research and unethical practices in dissemination of results. So people, because they need to compete, they need to bring up high impact factor. They don't bother about what kind of sincerity they are going to bring in the into the research. So they resort to falsification, fabrication. They may not be able to bring out proper results, so they fabricate the data, and all this happens. Okay, when it is prestige associated with journal impact factor. Then, so poor infrastructure is also a very important thing. Poor infrastructure for research. Many colleges, they do not have proper infrastructure, but at the same time they want professors to publish, maybe in journals, provide patents, and go for multi-level projects. Okay, so universities and colleges as institutions of higher education have the dual responsibility. Both the universities and the researchers, they have dual responsibility of disseminating knowledge to the learner and of creating new knowledge through research. Okay, but unfortunately, most universities and colleges have neither the conducive environment. They want people to take up research, but they don't provide proper environment. They do, and they have very minimal infrastructure which does not pave way for good research. Okay, yet the faculty is required to engage in research and get evaluated on the basis of published output. Okay, and they want to show that they want to bring into the ears of people working there that only when they publish papers in high impact factor journals or whatever it is, they will be getting a promotion or they will be getting a good pay. So what happens? automatically people will get go for unethical means. Okay, so such conditions would indeed encourage unethical practices since the requirements are unrealistic. Okay, then so emphasis on quantity rather than quality. Now, quality has already been degraded. So publish or perish syndrome is gaining prominence across the globe. Many institutions, many organizations, they insist either publish or perish. So it's become a syndrome that is gaining prominence across the globe. Okay, with institutional requirements of certain minimal number of research publications for eligibility and calculation of the academic performance index for inter-se comparisons, the rush for research publication has become more demanding. So because they need to come up, score well in the API index, or they need to show up a good number of publications so that their value will be increased. So they just go for quantity rather than going for quality research. Okay. So as a consequence, the predatory journals appeared and are flourishing. Because of this, what happened? The predatory journals, the clone journals have appeared and are flourishing in large numbers. Researchers are in desperate need of publication to their credit so that they can fulfill the institutional requirement. Because of the pressure from institutions, they go for clone journals, paying huge amount of money, and this, if you ask me, it is really unethical because there is no quality research, rather it is all about quantity research. Okay, then now, see, research ethics comprises of all the 16 aspects which we need to definitely follow, like integrity, respect, the rules and regulations, justice, dignity, confidentiality, competence, the moral principles, the ethical practices, the values, privacy, honesty, beneficence, autonomy, non-maleficence, integrity. So all these are very, very important part of research ethics. All the 16, the maybe these points are very, very important to follow the ethics in research, and we need to definitely follow if we need to bring in quality research. Okay, so because quality research will speak for a long time, whereas quantity research will expire very soon. Then, see, the first thing in research is plagiarism. Okay, so one of the most common types of publication misconduct is plagiarism, where one author deliberately uses another's work without permission, credit, or acknowledgement. So, using somebody else as one own work is plagiarism, which is an unethical practice. Okay, so plagiarism takes different forms, from literal copying to paraphrasing someone else's work, and can include data, words and phrases, ideas and concepts. Okay, so plagiarism has varying levels of severity. So the severity depends on how much of someone's work was taken, a few lines or paragraph or full page or the full article itself. What was copied? Maybe the result, the methods, or the introduction section. All these contribute to committing plagiarism. Okay, researchers should always remember that crediting the work of others is a critical part of the process. There is nothing wrong in taking someone's idea, but you have to see that you properly acknowledge the source in your research, because without the support from various researchers, you cannot bring in a solid research. Okay, but you cannot just copy as it is. You have to give due credit to the work from where you have taken the valuable points. Okay, then, see, the first form of plagiarism is literal copying. Literal copying is reproducing a work word for word in whole or in part without permission and acknowledgement of the original source. If you don't acknowledge the source and you take up everything word by word, then it is called as literal copying. Okay, it is totally unethical and is only acceptable if you reference the source and put quotation marks around the copied text. If you put quotation marks around the copied text, then it's not going to be a big problem. Okay, but if you don't put a quotation mark and you just put it as if you have written on your own, then it is going to pose a serious problem. Okay, So the best way is to keep track of the sources used. So the best thing is you need to keep track of the various sources where you have taken that particular points from, and where you have used it in that particular paper. The original source should be fully acknowledged and properly cited. So, okay, so you have to give due credit to the original source, and you have to properly cite it in your paper or thesis or whatever it is. Okay, then plagiarism too, it is called substantial copying. Okay, so this type of copying can include research material, processes, tables, or equipment. It is unethical because substantial can be defined as both quantity and quality of what was copied. Okay, so if the work captures the essence of another's work, it should be cited. As stated in the preview. Whatever you take from somebody's work, you have to definitely acknowledge. Okay, it should be cited. In another words, if the researcher's work has been benefited largely from the skill and judgment of the original author, then you have to ask a question to yourself: how much of the original work has been taken, and how much it has contributed to your paper. If your answer is going to be yes, then you can be sure that substantial copying has taken place. Okay, so if you have done that, then you have to be sure that you have to cite the original source. Okay, so this is very important. And then paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is like reproducing someone else's ideas while not copying word for word. Some people will just paraphrase by changing the synonym words. Okay, and then but this also how you have to do is you have to take permission and acknowledge the original source. Only then paraphrasing will have its true value. Okay, paraphrasing is only acceptable if the source is properly referenced while also making sure that the meaning intended by the source is not changed. Okay, you can reference the source properly, and you should not change the meaning. The process of changing the word, you have to remember that one meaning, for one particular word, there are so many different meanings. So you have to see that you take up the correct meaning, and so that the meaning of what the original author has shared is not changed. Okay, so the researcher should make sure to understand what the original author means. So first of all, you have to understand what actually the original author meant to say. Only if you could understand properly, you can paraphrase. They should never copy and paste words that is not fully understood. If you have not understood it fully, read it again and again so that you can get a clear idea of what it is about, and then you can paraphrase without changing the meaning. But at the same time, you have to properly acknowledge. Okay, it's very important. Then the last form of plagiarism is text recycling. So, reproducing portions of an author's own work in a paper and resubmitting it for publication as an entirely new paper. So this is plagiarism. This is surely what we call plagiarism. Okay, text recycling. Then creating several publications from the same research is considered manipulative. Of course, if you are going to create several publications from the same kind of research, then it is called manipulative. Just because you need to increase your quantity of research, you cannot resort to unethical means like this, like text recycling. Okay, the researcher should make sure to put anything in quotes that is taken directly from previously published paper, even if it is reusing something in own words, even if it is going to be a paraphrased one, you have to put in quotes and you have to duly acknowledge. Okay, they should make sure to reference the source accordingly. Whatever you are going to share, you have to see that you acknowledge the source duly. Okay, so this is text recycling. So now, one thing, as I was sharing with you earlier, all about fabricating, falsifying. Okay, so this is called this all contributes to research fraud. Okay, research fraud is publishing data or conclusions that were not generated by experiment. You may not have done the experiment, but you try to make it up as you have done the experiment. This is called fabrication. Okay, but by invention or data manipulation. So there are two kinds of research in scientific publishing. One is called fabrication, making up research data and result, and recording and reporting them. You would not have taken up the research at all, but you just fabricate as if you have done that. Okay, Then falsification is manipulating research materials, images, data, equipment, or processes. Falsification includes changing or omitting data or result in such a way that the research is not accurately presented. Just because you need to fill your paper, you just change everything without bringing a proper, without taking up proper quality work. Okay, then both fabrication and falsification are serious forms of misconduct because they result in scientific record that does not accurately reflect observed truth. Actually, it will be recorded, but it will go under the impression that it is not an observed truth. Rather, it has been fabricated and the research results have been falsified. Okay, so this kind of called research fraud. Then what is called salami slicing. So it's a different kind of word where publishing small slices of research in several different papers is called salami publication or salami slicing. Okay, so when you take up small slices of research from different papers and put into one, then it is called salami publication or salami slicing. It is unethical because it can result in a distortion of the literature. Even if some people don't find out, it will lead to readers to believe that the data presented in these slides is derived from different subject samples. So you are causing a great harm to the readers by doing this kind of salami slicing. Okay. Avoid inappropriately breaking up data from a single study into two or more papers. Please don't do that. Okay, breaking up data from two or three papers and bringing it together as one paper, definitely it is unethical. When submitting a paper, be very transparent. Okay, so only then you will not be facing any problems in future. Otherwise, if you get caught, then it will bring a bad name to you as well as the organization which you are working. So this kind of salami publication slicing is one kind of unethical practice. Then what is the other one? Misrepresenting a scientist's relationship to their work. See, according to ICMJ, that is ICMJ is the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, all persons designated as authors should qualify for authorship, and all those who qualify should be listed. There will be some people called like guest authors, gift authors, which I'll be telling you what it is all about in the next part of my slides. Okay. So misrepresentation also includes those guest and gift authors. So whoever they are, you have to see that you add them in your research work. Okay, review the journal's instructions. You have to go through the journal instructions very carefully, which they would have mentioned guidelines for author before submitting a paper and be forthright about all contributors. You have to be very genuine about whoever the contributors are who have contributed for your research, okay, for the success of your research. This includes substantial contributions, even if it is a large amount of contribution, or paid writers and any others who contributed to this study. Whoever it may be, you have to be see that you are very transparent. You bring them all into the acknowledgement section. Okay, they also have to get due credit. So that is the thing. Then the dual submission. This involves submitting the same articles to multiple journals. You prepare one paper and you send it to two different kinds of journals. Okay. So what happens is it wastes the time and efforts of multiple reviewers. Okay, the editor's time is wasted, the reviewer's time is wasted, the reader's time is wasted. So you're wasting the time of all these people. Time is very precious. So this wastes the time and efforts of multiple reviewers of different journals. And in case if it gets published, then it is very confusing for the readers or the researchers as to which article to consider for citation. So when there are dual submissions, the reader will be confused as to which article they need to take up for citing when they take up their own research. Okay, sometimes the dual submissions contain the same content, maybe in different languages. Okay, they'll just translate without acknowledging the source, which is also not considered as an ethical practice. Okay, some people will take up research in some other language and they would have copied whatever they have taken from one research paper into that particular language, which is also unethical. Okay, if they do so, they have to state that it is translated from that particular source. You have to acknowledge. Otherwise, that is what, as I told you, have to be very, very transparent when it comes to research. Okay. Then, as I was talking to you about earlier, it's about ghost authorship. Okay, so this usually refers to professional writers, often paid by commercial sponsors whose role is not acknowledged. They just take a payment and they contribute something, maybe by writing or whatever. Okay, unattributed contributions to data analysis may also constitute ghost authorship. Not acknowledging a writer's contribution is considered dishonest. Maybe see the findings and everything you will be giving, but the research paper these ghost authors will be writing. Even then, you have to see that they are brought in the research paper. So, professional writers who participated only in drafting of the manuscript and did not have a role, as I told you, in the design and conduct of the study or the interpretation of result, should be identified in the acknowledgement section. Even the ghost writer should be given in the acknowledgement section along with information about potential conflicts of interest. What was the payment given to them? Okay, what was their contribution towards this research paper? Then, including whether they were compensated for the writing assistant. If so, how much, what, everything you need to share. As I told you, you have to be very, very transparent so that you will not face any problem in future. Okay, so what for this you have to consult the authorship guidelines of the journal. That is, you have to consult other helpful resources, including ICMJE, World Association of Medical Editors, European Medical Writers Association, and the American Medical Writers Association. If you want, you can just go through their websites and find out what kind of rules they have to share, so that that can be applied for other journals also. Okay, even though it's considered for medical journals, it can be applicable for science and other language journals also. Okay, then gift and guest authorship. What do we mean by gift and guest authorship? So, authorship based on tenuous affiliation with the study or solely on an expectation that inclusion of a particular name, that is, you contribute, you do the research fully, but you want to add up someone with good affiliation. Okay, just because your publication should be noticed. Okay, or the journal should accept the publication, your article immediately. People do that. Okay, so they are called gift and guest authors. Okay, so gift and guest authors make no discernible contribution. They would not have contributed anything to research, but they would be just added only because they can bring in a name for your paper. You can proudly say that that particular person has also contributed to the research. Okay, so this kind of contributors, they should be inspected prior to submitting a paper. So they have to be inspected well in advance. If in doubt about whether a contribution is acceptable or not, whether this kind of contribution is acceptable or not, you will have to consult the authorship guidelines of the journal and the editor. If they say it is not accepted, then you definitely have to avoid this gift and guest authorship. Okay, that's very important. If you are going to add that despite the journal's rules and regulations of not adding them, then tomorrow if there is any serious problem, then people will be caught. Okay, so you have to be very careful about that. So, what is conflict of interest? See, this arises when authors have financial or personal interest, which consequently influences his or her actions, judgment, and the content being published. So, this kind of conflict of interest is called competing interest or competing loyalties. Okay, this associated with payments and all other things. So, such undeclared conflicts of interest are treated as unethical practices. This kind of undeclared conflicts, which you have not mentioned in the paper, they are treated as unethical practices. So, these interests affect the opinion or conclusion drawn from the study. And if the conflict of interest are revealed later on, okay, if not now, later on, if it is revealed, then the reader may be feeling misled or deceived, because they would have cited thinking that there is no conflict of interest and that paper is absolutely genuine. Tomorrow, if there is some problem, then the readers will be feeling misled or deceived. Okay, so hence such conflict of interest, whatever the conflict of interest is, it must be revealed to the editor or publisher while submitting the manuscript. Okay, And then it is left to the journal whether to disclose the conflict of interest at the footer of the publication or straight away reject such submission. So it all depends. You have to share the truth with the journal publisher or editor, and if they accept, no problem. If they don't accept, if they reject, then you'll have to accept that too. Okay. So this is conflict of interest. Then, so what is citation manipulation? See, many times authors include the citations whose mere purpose is to increase the number of citations to the given author's work without reading, just adding the work because you have to acknowledge something. You have to put it in the reference section. You are doing this. Authors should refrain themselves from excessive citing of their own previous work or their friends, colleagues, or institution publications if they have not actually read. If you have not read that particular article, please do not add that in your research paper, whichever you are going to publish anew. Okay, it is unethical. Researchers must also avoid copying the references from other publications if they have not gone through the cited work. Okay, so you should avoid copying the references just because you are unable to take up as much references as possible, just because your guide or the journal wants. You just cannot copy some references and paste it in your journal. Okay, it is unethical. Okay, and yeah, that's very important. This is called citation manipulation. Then, so now coming to this topic, what are the advantages of research ethics? Why is it advantageous to follow ethics in research? See, ethics in research promote the aims of research. Whatever are the aims and goals of research, when you follow ethics, it will help you to promote it. Okay, it increases trust among the researcher and the participant, whoever is participating in the research process. It is important to adhere to ethical principles in order to protect the dignity, rights, and welfare of the research participant. Okay, you have to follow all these ethical principles so that nobody is caught in the soap. Okay, then researchers can be held accountable and answerable for their actions. So we have to always remember that the researcher holds full responsibility for everything they have added in the journal. Okay, so they have to be very, very careful when they take any step. Then ethics promotes social and moral values, promotes the ambitions of research such as understanding, veracity, and dodging of error. Okay. Then ethical standards uphold the values that are vital to cooperative work such as belief, answerability, mutual respect, and impartiality. Then ethical norms in research also aid to construct public upkeep for research. People are more likely to trust a research project if they can trust the worth and reliability of the research. If people can trust that research project, if they have no unethical issues, then definitely they will be granted more and more opportunities, maybe a big fund too, okay, just because they follow ethical practices and they are honest towards their publications or whatever it is, their projects or anything associated with research. If you are going to be very honest, then definitely you will be getting more and more opportunities which will uplift you. Okay, rather if you resort to unethical means, definitely it will hamper your growth. Maybe if not now, maybe later on. Okay, so we'll have to be very, very careful then. So, how can we ensure ethics are different steps of research? See, we have to collect the facts and talk about over intellectual belongings openly. We should not hide anything. We have to be open in collecting the facts and talking about intellectual belonging. Okay, then outline the ethical matters. Whatever are the ethical things that need to be followed, we have to outline everything and then detect the affected parties. Just cross out and then ascertain the forfeits, then recognize the responsibilities, whatever the principles, rights, and justice that need to be followed when you do a research. You'll have to understand the responsibilities and follow accordingly. Then contemplate personality and truthfulness. Deliberate innovatively about positive possible action. Then respect privacy and confidentiality. Resolve on the appropriate ethical action and be willing to deal with a divergent point of view. Okay, so you have to be broad-minded towards everything, but and you have to see that you are following ethics at different stages of your research process. Then So what, see, actually this is a very, very important part because it is the supervisor who guides the student towards a research. So what should be the relationship when it comes to research ethics? That's what I'm going to share here. Okay. So research has shown that effectual direction can significantly influence the quality of the PhD and its eventual success or failure. Okay, since the doctoral degree is generally the last step in formal learning, okay, the good foundation in ethical practices is essential so that we can prepare quality researchers who can be effective leaders in times to come. If the students are not going to follow ethical practices, then in future it is going to be very, very difficult. We are not producing quality researchers. We are going to produce only quantity researchers. Okay. Then supervisor need to ensure adequate training of research students on safe, ethical, and appropriate before they taken any student to for their PhD or writing a research paper. They have to ensure that the students follow all ethical means, okay, and appropriate usage of the various research methods and equipment. Okay, only then they also will have an idea and they will be very careful when it comes to taking up their own research. Then students should be encouraged to read widely. See, when there is a habit of reading widely, extensively, then there is no what there is no need of following unethical practices. If you are a very good reader and if you are able to write very well, then automatically you will not resort to unethical practices. Rather, you will use your own knowledge to bring up your research extremely well, and that is what is happening with many people around. Okay, so students should be encouraged to read widely, to participate in seminars and discussion meetings, and to periodically present their own data to improve their ability to effectively communicate. So they have to be trained in all aspects, and it is with the supervisor how well she or he encourages the student towards good research. Okay, then research students need to be encouraged and provided with opportunities to improve their writing skills. Writing skills are very, very important for any research student. Okay, so if you, as I told you earlier, if the student is going to write well and if the student is going to read well, then definitely there are more chances of bringing in quality research rather than quantity research. Okay, then so, what are the different perspectives of publication ethics? Now, so far I've been talking to you about the ethics to be followed in research. Now, this part is going to focus on the publication ethics. Okay, so the publication ethics is divided into three types: it is moral, professional, and legal. So, moral perspective to publication ethics refer to publishing false or fabricated data. Okay, then professional perspective refers to not giving due credit to the contributing authors. Then legal perspective involves violation of copyright or other intellectual property. So these are the different perspectives of publication ethics which we need to follow. Then see, responsible research publication, the first and foremost thing we need to follow for bringing in responsible research publication is accuracy and reliability. Okay, so the research being reported should have been conducted in an ethical and responsible manner and follow all relevant rules and regulations. Okay, so authors should take collective responsibilities. Whoever the authors are contributing for the particular research, they have to take collective responsibility for their work and for the content of their publication. So researchers should check their publications carefully at all stages to ensure methods and findings are reported accurately. Then authors should carefully check calculations, data presentations, typescript submission, and proof. So these what as I told you, the researchers have to take up full responsibility for being accurate and reliable throughout the research process. If this is going to be followed, then it's going to be very easy throughout the research stages. Okay, then so honesty of research publication, a very important part, integrity. Researchers should present their results honestly and without fabrication, falsification, or inappropriate data manipulation. Okay, research images should not be modified. They should not modify the research images or research findings in a misleading way. Okay, because when you try to mislead, then it will bring a lot of problems in future. Okay, researchers should strive to describe their methods and present their findings clearly and unambiguously. Then authors should alert the editor promptly if they discover an error, if any submitted in any submitted accepted. Once, even after the work is published, and if they notice any other thing which is misleading or any error is spotted, then the authors have to definitely inform the editor correctly, so that maybe in the next publication, or when that goes out for any before it is published, or maybe when it goes for second publication, the editor will ensure that the error is not is omitted and the correct findings have taken place in the paper. Okay, so you have to be very very honest, very very transparent when it comes to research. Okay, then balancing new findings should be presented in the context of previous research. The work of others should be fairly represented. I told you earlier, scholarly reviews and synthesis of existing research should be complete, balanced, and should include findings regardless of whether they support the hypothesis or interpretation being proposed. Okay? Editorials or opinion pieces presenting a single viewpoint or argument should be clearly distinguished from scholarly reviews. Study limitations should be addressed in publications. What are the limitations that are caused that is a part of your study? You have to address that so that the future researchers will take care of this kind. So you have to balance everything properly. Okay, if you find a proper balance, then your research is going to be definitely successful. Then originality is very very important. Authors should adhere to publication requirements that the submitted work is original and has not been published elsewhere in any language. Work should not be submitted concurrently to more than one publication unless the editors have agreed to co-publication. As I told you, it is dual submissions I was talking to you about before. If the articles are co-published, this fact should be made very clear to the editors where you have published that, so that or readers will not be misled. Okay, applicable copyright laws and conventions should be followed. So the copyright laws, conventions, once you publish, if there is any copyright to be followed, then the researchers have to strictly follow the copyright laws. Okay, then copyright material, example table, figures, or extensive quotation should be reproduced only with appropriate permission. You have to take permission, and only then you have to use it in your research study. Okay, then and with a proper acknowledgement. Then transparency, all sources of research funding, including direct and indirect financial support, supply of equipment of material, and other support such as specialist, statistical, or writing assistance should be disclosed. You have to be very, very transparent. Whatever you are, whatever has been a part of your research process, everything has to be shared in writing to the editor of the journal or the publisher, so that they will understand what kind of research, who are the contributors, and whatever has happened throughout the research publication process. Okay, then authors should disclose the role of research funders, sponsors, the research design, execution, analysis, interpretation, and reporting. They should also disclose relevant financial and non-financial interests and relationships that might be considered likely to affect the interpretation. Because if there is any personal relationship between the funders or the researchers, then definitely it is going to impact the publication. Okay, so they have to be very very transparent to the editors, reviewers, and readers, because they definitely have to know all this, because they are the people who are going to use that for their future reference. Okay, then acknowledgement. The research literature serves as a record not only of what has been discovered, but also of who made the discovery. The authorship of research publication should therefore accurately reflect individual contribution to the work and its reporting. They would have given a lot of hard work towards the publication process, towards writing a paper, so they have to be duly acknowledged. Okay, authors should not use acknowledgement misleadingly. Okay, some people would have contributed, and in the acknowledgement section, somebody name would have been taken place. So this kind of misleading information should be avoided. Okay, or endorsement by individuals who have not in fact been involved with the work or given an endorsement. They would not have given an endorsement, but the research paper talks as if they have given an endorsement. So this kind of things should be definitely avoided. Okay, definitely be avoided. The responsibility, all authors should have read and be familiar with the reported work and should ensure that publications follow the principles set out in these guidelines. So authors have to be very, very careful. They should abide by relevant conventions, requirements, or regulation to make materials, regions, software, or data set available to other researchers who request them. Then authors should respond appropriately. See, once you have published your paper or once you have published your findings, if you are faced with any question from the reader's side or from the officer's side or whatever, you should be ready to answer them. Okay, you cannot say that I've just published, my responsibility is over. You have to take sole responsibility for your research throughout. Okay, they should attempt to answer correspondence question and supply clarification or additional details whenever there is it is needed. You are asked to if you are given any questions or you are asked to supply any form of clarification related to your research, or if people are in need of additional details, you have to be ready to provide them. Okay, and this all will take place only when you are going to produce quality research by following all the ethical practices. Okay, so as I told you earlier itself, you have to be responsible for everything which you add in your paper or thesis. Okay, so what are the solutions? We have spoken about research ethics, unethical means. So what are the solutions to prevent research misconduct? Okay, so we have to select collaborators, whoever we add in our research paper or whatever, we need to select them very carefully because we would be going an ethical way, but they will not be thinking in the same way, and because of them, we will be in a problem. So we have to see that we select collaborators very, very carefully. Then, when in doubt about ethical issues, withdraw from the study. If you are not sure about the ethical issues or when you have some doubts about that, you can definitely withdraw from the study or declare all possible conflicts of interest, financial or otherwise. Just speak everything before itself so that you will not be faced with any problem later on. Then scientific bodies and governments in India, if it is there, it will be very good. Okay, like in the West, they have scientific bodies, and in the West, like PI, OP, CHIT. So these are all the regulatory bodies which are found in the West for governing the research publications, okay, bringing in honesty. So if it's there in India also, it will be very, very useful. So these institutions must be filled with people of flawless integrity. So the people who work in that kind of institution, they have to be very, very honest. Only then they can carry on their duties, responsibilities, and regulations very carefully. Then appropriate punishment must be meted out to those responsible for research misconduct, because once a person is punished, it will automatically act as a warning for others, okay, not to carry out the same unethical practice in their research. Finally, once again, prevention is better than cure. We have to prevent, okay, rather than curing, we need to prevent it in the first hand. Then there must be undergraduate and postgraduate education in the various fields of research ethics. So, if there are classes on research ethics, definitely we can avoid all these problems in future. Okay, then we all have to remember that honesty is always the best policy. So finally, coming to the last part, conclusion. So research is primarily a self-driven and self-satisfying human enterprise which has social extension. Our research is going to lead the way for various other researchers. Okay, so you have to do it satisfactorily and you have to do it with all integrity. The present scenario has unfortunately transformed research as a market-driven activity. Okay, now the research, when we see all the research work happening around, it looks like it has driven into a market-driven activity which may generate wealth. Maybe we will be feeling proud of now, but maybe later on we need to face hard-hitting consequences. Okay, So research integrity and ethical conduct are essential for researchers to really enjoy. See, once you have followed all the ethical practices, once you have declared everything, you're very, very transparent in your research. You need not worry about anything. Okay, well, about the problems you'll be facing in future, nothing, because you have shared everything. You're very, very transparent. You have followed all ethical practices. Okay, so you have to research integrity and ethical conduct are important for researchers to enjoy the pleasure of discovering something. You're discovering something and you are doing the unknown. Okay, then effective training of enthusiastic young researchers in good ethical practices is as important as training them effectively in their chosen discipline. Okay, so the supervisor or the teachers have to always ensure that students follow all ethical means so that we will be producing good researchers for the future. Okay, personal integrity is essential at all levels. The human society should respect and maintain this unique feature. Okay, the personal integrity is very, very important at all stages, not only in the area of research, but in all areas. We need to see that we are very, very honest. Okay, we have to protect that and we have to maintain this kind of unique future. Only man has been bestowed with that ability. Okay, so we need to be following integrity and ethical practices at all levels. So I'm really grateful to the above sources, to the below mentioned sources for providing me with valuable points related to this topic. And I thank each and everyone for providing me with a wonderful opportunity to sharing my points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable informations and ideas that you have shared with us. Now,
Thank you, ma'am.
the time for the question and answer session. Now, I call upon Mr. C.P. Sashidharan to ask any questions.
Uh, Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. So,
Uh,
whatever the questions you want to ask, can you please post it in the chat box, please, so that
yeah,
will be
sure,
easy
ma'am.
for me to answer.
Uh, I post in the comment box, ma'am. My question is that how to avoid plagiarism. That is, if I want to research in some particular topic I'm interested in, how do I know that it is not already been researched or published by some other author? If so, if someone has already been researched, how to legally or ethically approach him and give him the credits? Can you please explain that part, ma'am?
Okay. So, you are asking me how we can ensure students follow research ethical practices, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's what I said told you in my slides. Researchers, whoever the researchers we are producing, the students, there should be a proper relationship between the supervisor and the guide. The supervisor should ensure that the researchers, whoever are doing research under them, they need to follow all the ethical practices. Okay, all the ethical practices. They need to bring in quality research. They have to bring in their own findings. They have to ensure that the supervisor or the teacher should ensure that students read a lot out of their not only their own books but also other books related to their topic of study. Okay, then so that they will have wide knowledge about, even if they are unable to bring in something, something else will help them and they can gain more and more knowledge. Okay, so these are some of the practices which, as supervisors, we can ensure, and as teachers, we can ensure that the students follow all ethical practices right from the young age itself, so that when it comes to research, they can take care of everything. Okay, they will not go in the wrong track. As I was giving information earlier, reading has to be implemented. Reading well has to be implemented from the formative stages itself. Okay, if the students are going to read well and if they are very good in writing, then definitely there won't be any problem at all. They will use their own knowledge to produce quality research. So that is the thing which we have to ensure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I pass the mic to Dr. R. Sajita.
At this moment, I would like to present our appreciation certificate to our chief guest. Now, I call upon Dr. J.P. Sujitra, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, to deliver vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. On behalf of Physics Department, Adayalampattu Phase II, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks for this one-day webinar which is organized by our university. I would like to thank all our executives of our university. Special thanks to the speaker of the day, Dr. P. Ashini, for sharing her knowledge. Thank you, ma'am. My heartfelt thanks to Joint Registrar Dr. P. Prabhu sir, Dean Academic Dr. A. Arunachalam sir, Dean Administrative Dr. K. Sendil Kumar sir, for the continuous support to conducting the various programs. I would like to thank Dr. M.G.R. Kumarima, Head of the Department, for providing this opportunity to deliver the vote of thanks. Special thanks to all the participants for your presence and continuous support. I would like to thank for all the staff members in our department. A special thanks to Mr. Ganesh sir for the technical support. Thank you all.
At the end of this webinar, I hope you have gained and enhanced your knowledge with the satisfaction of a good webinar. We wish to signing off and meet you all in the next program. Thank you all.